Welcome to the Soul Career Live free 2-week course, Navigating Your Career in a Crisis. Thank you guys so much for signing up and joining, and I hope you get a lot of value from today's session. So today's session is finding a new job in a crisis. We know that so many people have either been furloughed or laid off during the crisis. 8 million people in the US in the tourism industry have been laid off. I think the number is 30 million total across all industries. So what can you do if you need to find a new job in the crisis? Outside of that, a lot of people are also thinking about transitioning to a new career now. We are being faced with the concept of our own mortality. We're seeing a lot of death, a lot of illness in the imagery that we're getting on the news. And a lot of people are thinking, what is a legacy that they want to leave now? What kind of life do they want to live coming out of this pandemic? So if you're thinking about what career path do I want to jump on, this is the topic for you as well. How to find a new job in a crisis. And I want to big up Shawnee, who you're seeing on your screen. Shawnee Fitz is our moderator for this session. And I'll just tell you a little bit about Shawnee. Shawnee has been in the marketing and project management industry from the beginning of her career. Her core areas of expertise are project system implementation, complex project management, inbound marketing, digital marketing, and marketing strategy. So she is amazing, and I'm so lucky to have her as the moderator for this session. Hey, Shawnee! So checking in with you guys, type in the chat, what are you hoping to learn today? What do you want to take away from today's session? I'm very curious to know. I love engaging. I love when webinars are a two-way street, a conversation. I don't like it to be one way. So chat with us, talk to us, comment with us throughout the whole thing. I want to hear from you. All right. Now, the host today and over the course of the series, me and Warren are going to be hosting the whole thing. So if you don't know me yet, I'm Lysandra Ricketts. I am the co-founder and CEO of Soul Career. So let me get back to my slides here. Right, so I have an MBA from Harvard Business School. I was the former CEO of the Branson Center of Entrepreneurship. And I left there in December 2019 to launch Soul Career because I felt a calling to build an online business that helps entrepreneurs, executives, and professionals to find their life's work, to lead authentically from their true self, and to leave powerful legacies. So I'm the host today. Warren is going to host tomorrow. He's my co-founder and COO, and he is currently Customer Success Manager at Cloudflare, which is a Silicon Valley unicorn whose mission is to make the internet a better place. So most websites in the world are run through Cloudflare. It's a cybersecurity platform, among many other things. And Warren has been in account management and sales for his entire career, and so he has a lot of value to share. He's going to be hosting tomorrow. I'll still be on, but he's going to be the main host tomorrow. Today, our guest host is Naomi Garrick, the personal branding coach and PR chick and founder of Garrick Communications and LinkedIn expert and. So Naomi is going to jump on later on and tell her story. Woo! Hi, Naomi. So the format of this live session today, first 20 minutes, and we're already 6 minutes in, so let me hurry up. First 20 minutes, I'm going to share some concepts and frameworks for you to think about a career search during the crisis. Second 20 minutes, I'm going to interview Naomi about her experience and her expertise. And then the last 20 minutes, we're going to split between a Q&A from you guys. So ask your questions using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. And we're also going to talk a little bit about what Soul Career is and what we do. And if you stay until the very end, there's a special offer for those of you guys on the live webinar who stay until the end. So I hope you stay for that offer. All right, so all of that is out of the way. Let us jump into the main part of the discussion, which is the concepts and the frameworks around finding a new career in a crisis. So the first thing I want to say is if you've recently lost your job, You are not alone. As I mentioned before, the US statistics is over 30 million people have been either furloughed or unemployed by this crisis. It has nothing to do with your value in the world. So just give yourself, be kind to yourself, give yourself space to feel all the feelings that you're feeling right now, and just know that you're not alone and it has nothing to do with your value. You have a lot of value to give, and hopefully with the tools that we share with you today, you'll be able to find a new career that is more in alignment with who you are. The other thing I want to say is that in order to do the things that we need to do in the world, we need an enormous amount of energy. And in order to give ourselves that energy, energy doesn't just fall from this tree. You know, you have to actively cultivate that energy. So in order to do that, you need to preserve your mental health at all costs. So just make sure you're doing some kind of workout every day for your mind, not for the body, not to get fit and hot alone, but to increase the endorphins and the serotonin in your brain so that you have the energy to do the things that you need to do. Limit your consumption of the news. The news is very sensational, very negative right now. So we don't want to be filling our mind with that kind of negative imagery day in, day out. Limit it, I say 15 minutes a day, max an hour a day, and move on with your life, because if you fill your mind with that stuff, you're going to be down in the doldrums, and we need to preserve our mental health at all costs. And replace that negative content with inspirational content. Listen to great podcasts, listen to an inspiring book, watch some great YouTube videos, so that you are now replacing any negativity with positive inspirational content in your mind. Get outside, get some vitamin D, sit in the sun for like 10 minutes a day, guys, just to get some vitamins in your body, some nature, some sunlight, and create healthy daily routines. Because what we have in store for you for the rest of the program today requires energy. So actively work at creating energy for yourself. But don't push yourself past your limits. Take a break if you need one. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So if you need to just rest and not do anything for a day, just do that. Be kind to yourself. All right. So now that we have the mindset that we need to look for a new job in a crisis, let's get into what happens day one if you find yourself out of a job. You need to have an emergency plan, first off. Before you even start searching for a new job, create an emergency plan with 3 outcomes. Best case scenario, only unemployed for 1 to 2 months. Middle case scenario, unemployed for 3 to 6 months. Worst case scenario, unemployed for 6 to 12 months. If you have a plan of action for each of these scenarios, you will feel more in control of your destiny and of your life if you know ahead of time the steps that you'll take if you find yourself in any of these situations. So I highly recommend starting with this plan. And you have to be very clinical when you're doing this plan for yourself. Don't get caught in the emotions like, oh my God, what if I don't have a job for 6 to 12 months? Oh my God. Try to separate the emotions from the actions that you need to take in that moment. Again, you'll feel more in control when you can plan ahead which actions to take and at what time period. So here on the screen, and you can take a screenshot of this slide if you need to, I have an example of an emergency plan here if you find yourself unemployed, right? So in the best case scenario, 1 to 3 months, what you want to do, you want to cut all discretionary expenses, just go right down to prioritizing exactly the expenses that have to be paid, and use any savings that you have to cover the income shortfall. If it extends to 4 to 6 months, I would start looking for a cheaper place to rent. Myself, I would take on odd jobs to try to get some income in the door. And I might even temporarily and mildly try to use an emergency credit card if it extends to 4 to 6 months. If in the worst case scenario, it goes down to 6 to 12 months, the action that I would take, first off, is to move in with my dad, my parents, or crash on my friend's couch and say, all right, I need to get rid of rent. I can do that because I don't have any kids. If you have kids, you would have a different action here. You might want to combine households with the grandparents or something like that. I would also take on even more odd jobs, looking for part-time opportunities, etc. And if you're in the US or the UK or Europe, I know some of you guys are calling in from there, the government is offering a lot of support for people who find themselves unemployed. So I would look into that kind of government support as well. So you have this plan. You want to do everything in your power to realize the best case scenario. So you know what you're going to do in the worst case scenario, but now we're going to make extreme effort to ensure that the best case scenario is the outcome that we're working with. So I'm going a little bit fast because we have a lot to cover today, but let me pause here and just see, are there any questions about what we've shared so far?
Remember to use the question and answer tab, guys, if you do have any questions. All that's coming so far is they're just asking if you could share the mindset slides again, but we can always go back to that at the end if anything.
Okay, sure. Yes, mindset, very important, because we need enormous amount of energy to do the things that we want to do in life. And so we have to actively work at cultivating that energy. So you guys will all get the recording. At the end of the whole series, we'll put the recording up for everyone that registered, and then you'll get it again. Any questions, Shawnee, before I move on?
One more just came in. How much should/would you share with others?
Well, regarding what exactly? So how much of the plan would we share with others? How much?
I think it's the plan that they're talking about.
It's as much as you feel comfortable with, right? This plan can be very personal to you. I actually have a 3x3 matrix for my scenario planning. So this plan that I just showed you guys is just one row, and I have 2 rows above it with other scenarios and the best case, middle case, worst case. I actually have a massive plan, and I feel very uncomfortable sharing that with people because it's very personal to me. But people have asked to see it before, so I just edit out the very personal stuff and share the big plan with people who want an example of a big scenario analysis. So this emergency part is just one piece of a larger scenario analysis document. All right. Sorry?
I said that answered it. They said thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's jump into the part that everyone is here for, which is the finding a new job piece. How do you find a new job in a crisis? The first thing you have to do is research. Before you even start crafting your resume, your cover letter, etc., just look at who is hiring right now. I actually got a WhatsApp this morning that 3 people I know left one company that I'm aware of to join another one full-time. So there are companies out there that are hiring in the crisis. Particularly, people in the Caribbean are looking for people with tech skills to help them transition to this new online world. But globally, there are industries that are hiring big time right now, and your first job is just to research what is out there. Amazon hired 175,000 people in the past 2 months, right? So here are some ideas of places that are hiring right now. Healthcare suppliers. They cannot cope with the demand globally, right? So they are hiring like crazy. Logistics and delivery companies. So globally, Amazon is an example. Locally in Jamaica, Mailpack has been on a hiring spree as well. They cannot cope with the pace of delivery from the supermarkets and the demand that there is for that. Online education, the need for teachers online has grown exponentially. I have friends who were doing something before the crisis and have jumped into teaching English as a second language online now after the crisis. I'm seeing online on a place called Indeed.com. If you look up remote teaching jobs, it's hundreds and hundreds of remote teaching jobs that are available online. So online education is booming right now. Governments are taxed. I know our government in Jamaica PR. They are looking for a lot of PR people right now. They have to be putting out communication nonstop. So that's another option. Social media companies, right? We're all online. We're all using social media. The rest, those of us who were part of the hashtag delete Facebook phenomenon are now back on Facebook. So social media companies are booming right now. And of course, online entertainment. How many of us has joined some kind of online DJ experience or online party in the past few months? So those are some of ideas to look for who is hiring right now. The other thing to note is that almost every job right now is remote. So don't limit yourself to the geography that you're in. Look at remote jobs around the world for opportunities. So the first step after you've researched who is hiring is to create a list of jobs that you would want to apply to. So in order to do that, you have to search every job site you can think of to find jobs that you would want to apply to, and separate the search from the application. So in step one, we're just gonna search, right? LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, company websites, CaribbeanJobs.com. Just start listing on, here are open opportunities that I could apply to. Again, really important to separate the search from the application, because in the search phase, you want to show yourself that, yes, there are opportunities out there for me. Yes, people are hiring, because we want to get into that mental state of positivity and optimism and seeing there are things out there that I can do right now. So I recommend creating a list of up to 25 potential jobs and any contacts that you may have at those companies. And this list I call the Dream 25. These are the 25 jobs, the dream jobs that I would apply for right now. And finally, you want to apply in volume when you get to the application stage. This is a numbers game. On the other side of application, you want to get multiple offers. You don't just want one offer. So you want to apply down your list of 25 and get to the interview stage of as many jobs as you can, so that you can get great offers on the back end, so that you can negotiate for the best outcome possible for you. Okay, so now we've finished with search. The next step is to position yourself for the jobs that you want. So all of these tools that we're used to, the resume, the cover letter, interview skills, the LinkedIn profile, these are all tools for positioning yourself for the dream job, right? So you want to frame your story, your value, your skill set in the mind of the recruiter, so that when they see your positioning documents, they jump on it and immediately want to invite you to an interview and to hire you and give you the job. So I'm at the 20-minute mark, so I'm going to go fast through these next steps. For your resume, I see a lot of people on LinkedIn having their resume look like just a list of, just the job description, a list of my roles and responsibilities. That is old. That era where that kind of resume worked is long gone. You need to transition your resume from listing your responsibilities to highlighting your achievements. So for each role that you've performed, each company that you've worked at, think about your 3 to 4 biggest achievements in each role and use those as your bullet points in the resume. So we're shifting from I was responsible for X to I achieved Y. And wherever possible, quantify your results and include hard numbers. So I give you a quick example here. Instead of just writing, I managed a team towards achieving the company's objectives, extremely boring, tells the recruiter nothing about your value and your capabilities. Replace that with recruited and led a team of 10 across multiple locations to train and create investment opportunities for a community of 220 entrepreneurs. That's from my resume. So we want to move from just the static information overload to crafting and positioning your achievements and your results, putting in numbers wherever possible. Hope that's valuable for you guys. If it is, type in the chat, this is valuable for me. For your cover letter, what I recommend is that you write a personal mission statement first. right? So you can check my LinkedIn profile. Naomi has a fantastic LinkedIn profile as well for great examples. And once you have your personal mission statement, then it's very easy to recraft that into a compelling cover letter. All you need to do is add a great opening paragraph that catches the recruiter's eye and makes them continue. And then a couple of examples that lend credibility to the statements that you made in the opening paragraph about who you are and what your mission in the world is. And then you want to end with a closing paragraph that summarizes why you're uniquely suited to the role that you're applying for. So we talk about these techniques a lot more in detail in the Soul Career course, which I'll tell you about at the end of this call. And there's a system to doing this, but if you follow these tips, you'll be far above the crowd. Compelling opening paragraph, 2 examples that lend credibility, closing paragraph that summarizes why you're uniquely suited for the role. And the final piece of your positioning is your interviewing techniques. So I recommend creating a library of stories that showcase your achievements over the course of your career and pulling on these stories during the interview where they ask you, tell me about a time when you've done X. Tell me about a situation where you achieved Y. Use the STAR method when you're putting together your library of different stories you're going to pull on. The STAR method. Situation. This is a situation I was in. This is a task that I was required to perform. These are the actions that I did. So list 3 actions. 1, I did this. 2, I did that. 3, I did that. And the results I achieved, including numbers wherever possible. And I have a script and examples of that in the Soul Career course. And then finally, 85% of jobs are filled through your network. So in the pandemic context, networking has now moved from offline to online. So you want to optimize LinkedIn and use it to network. This is a crucial strategy to getting a new job during this crisis. So once you've optimized your LinkedIn page, and Naomi's going to talk about that coming up next, then you're going to search for the companies that you created on your Dream 25 list. Search for those companies and then click on the contacts button on LinkedIn and you'll see all of your contacts, second and third order contacts that work at that company. And then you're just going to click on some of these contacts and write them a message. Hey, can we have a short 15-minute chat? I'd love to learn what it's like to work for that company. And you have that chat and you've made a friend. And when you apply for the job, you just ping that friend. Hey, I applied. Would you mind bumping my resume with HR so that I have a better chance of getting the job? That's how you get a job in this day and age. All right. Questions. Naomi's up soon. So any questions before we get to Naomi's part of the course?
So we have one question from Kira. She's asking, how would you recommend someone change or get a new job if they're overqualified? How would you suggest they set up their resume? So this came in when you were talking about kind of that shift to online and finding, jobs such as online teaching and stuff like that.
Wow. So I would ask, why are you applying for jobs that you are overqualified for? Apply for jobs that utilize your skills and make you feel valued. That's what Soul Career is about, matching the personality and the skill sets to a career that fulfills you. However, I do realize that in a crisis, people might just need to get income in as soon as quick as possible. So they might apply for jobs that are not ideal. In that context, you want to look at the job description and pick out what skills are they looking for based on the job description. And then you want to position the resume and the achievements that you highlight to match the skills that they're looking for based on the job description. All right, hope that answers your question. Now we're going to bring on Naomi Garrett, PR chief and personal brand coach, to talk about her experience in this crisis. And she is actually a LinkedIn specialist. She wrote this amazing article in the paper, in the local Jamaican papers last week about how to optimize LinkedIn for a career search, for networking, for your personal brand. So Naomi, I'm going to ask you to join us now. So I do want to start with a question for you, Naomi. How does your personal brand, how does building your personal brand make you, position you better for this career search during this time?
Okay, sure, Lissandra. And hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. The first thing I would say is that let's just get a little bit of clarity on what your personal brand is. So, your personal brand is a couple of different things. It's how you see yourself, it's what others have to say about you, especially when you're not in the room. It's you being your most authentic self and understanding what that unique value is that you offer to the world. However, more importantly, especially now, we're finding that your personal brand is also what Google has to say about you. Because the real thing is that a lot of people, before they actually get to meet you in person or use your services, they're actually going to do a Google search about you first. And based on what shows up online, they actually use that to actually get an idea of what your personal brand is. So it has become super important right now to ensure that we are showing up online on all our different platforms. And when I say showing up online, it simply means ensuring that whatever platforms you use, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, especially, and I'll talk about that, that you actually have up to date and relevant content that speaks to who you are in this moment. Sometimes we get carried away and we sign up for all these great platforms and we kind of set it and forget it. So we don't even remember when's the last time we updated. We're not connecting, we're not engaging. We kind of just have it as a placeholder. And I actually used to be just like that with LinkedIn, which is really funny because now I'm a LinkedIn advocate. But before, I also just used to use my LinkedIn as this resume placeholder, doing all the things that Lissandra says you're not supposed to do, right? So just listing my skills and, almost like a very static resume, when really I've discovered over the last, I would say 3 years, how important that platform is. So Lissandra, I don't know if you want me to just jump right into that.
Yes, jump in.
So LinkedIn, so what I started discovering is when I started going to international conferences, people stopped asking me for my business card. They started saying, hey, let me scan your LinkedIn barcode. I didn't even know that there was a QR code in your LinkedIn profile that people can literally just open their profile and scan, and then they immediately get connected to you. So instead, people wanted to connect on LinkedIn. And I realized that LinkedIn was such a powerful platform for people that were serious about business. That's where the business world goes to connect, to get jobs, to collaborate with other individuals outside of their country. And so I started really doing my own deep dive into the platform. And I realized that the more I started to share, the more I started to engage and connect, even without selling my services, I started to really connect with people on that platform in a real way. And I'll tell you about what's happening with me right now during this crisis. So apart from being a personal brand coach, I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm the business owner of an agency in Jamaica. We just celebrated our 10th anniversary last year. So we're very excited about 2020 and introducing new services. And then COVID-19 happened.
Yeah.
And the reality is I'm literally sitting in my office that we are physically closing over the next few days because we really don't need the space right now for a physical office. And so following Lissandra's emergency plan, we're also looking at what are our next steps in our emergency plan, and do we need to be paying rent right now? Maybe not. So we literally, we're here today to move out of the office, actually.
Wow.
So that's one thing that happened. Two, of course, we're in PR, and some of our clients are retainer clients that pay us on a monthly basis for the year. Some of them really are still trying to figure things out. And so our retainer clients actually were reduced. So we don't have our full complement of clients right now either, as they're trying to figure things out. So quite a few of our clients put our retainers on pause. So we're now trying to see how do we serve the existing clients the best way possible. But also as an entrepreneur, I'm responsible for a team, a family, a business. I also have to see how can I still make revenue during this time. So I started looking back at all this content that I've created for personal branding over the last 2 years. And I started just going back on my LinkedIn page. So even though I speak about the importance of LinkedIn, I really personally was not using it as much as I should. However, over the last 4 to 5 weeks, I've just been very active on the platform, connecting with all of the people that have been trying to connect with me. So I had maybe 170 people that had connection requests that I didn't even check before. Very bad. And so I connected with everyone, and I started just sharing my content.
Yeah.
Not asking for anything, not pitching a service, not selling a product, just sharing information. And so I even had created some ebooks 2 years ago that I just released for free on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
My engagement, my following, my connections started increasing rapidly. Like I'm actually annoyed that I was not exploring the platform more in the same way that I tell my clients to do it.
Yeah.
And so I started connecting. I started being invited to join webinars like Lissandro's, but by people who I've never met before from around the world. So yesterday I did a Zoom with a lady from Trinidad. I'm doing another Zoom with a team from Atlanta next week. And these are all people that have connected with me on LinkedIn. And over the last 2 weeks, because I've been continuously sharing this value and knowledge for free, I'm starting to get messages in my inbox on LinkedIn for people that want to pay for my services.
Mm-hmm.
So I just did a conference call yesterday with a team from Bermuda, speaking about building their brand and developing their speaker kits and just how do they launch their online profile. And so it's a very exciting space right now. People are online, they're engaged, they're connected. And so I want to share with you some of the steps that I believe are important to even getting there. So that was my story. But it starts with a question for yourself. You have to get clarity on who you are first. So you don't want to just jump on these platforms and then you're not sure what you're doing here. Or maybe the people that you need to attract are not even there. So you want to start off first by getting clarity on who you are, what's really important to you, what are your core values, what are you really passionate about. I remember hearing this quote some time ago that said, work 50 weeks a year doing something that you hate, just to get 2 weeks off to do something that you love.
Yeah.
No, thank you. And so I know some of us may have lost our jobs, or we're trying to figure out what do we do next. But I think as much as we have to, stop and take a moment to pause and reflect on that, I think it's also a great time for opportunity, for you to really think, maybe as much as this job was paying the bills, did I really enjoy it? Did I love it? Is this something I really wanted to do? Was I serving my audience? Was I giving value? So I remember doing a redundancy exercise for a company, a financial company, where they were letting go their staff a couple of years ago. And they asked me to come in to speak to them to do a personal branding workshop. And the first thing I said to him, I was like, guys, you must be so excited right now. And of course, they looked at me like I was crazy. But I was like, now's your time to just like rethink, rebrand, regroup, and really get to connect with what you really wanted to do. And I asked the question, I was like, who in here loved this job? Maybe 1 out of the 25. And then I was just like, who in here has a side hustle that you wanted to really focus on, but you actually never had the time to focus on it before? Most of the hands went up because a lot of us have these projects or these passions that actually could be revenue generators that we didn't have the time to focus on. And so you have to start with you, getting clarity on what it is that you want, what's really important to you. And then you want to think about, okay, what is my unique value?
Yeah.
What are the problems that I solve naturally? What brings me the most joy? What do I enjoy doing? Because when you have an idea, and the thing is, there may be many people that have the same job title like you, but nobody in the world is going to do your job the way that you do it. And that's because of your unique experience, your unique journey, and the things that you've learned up to this point.
Preach, Naomi, preach. This is exactly right. This is so on point.
Because, oh my gosh, there are 100,000 people that also have the same job that I have. Okay, that's correct. But what is it about the way that you do it that's different? And I even say this for individuals who are just about to graduate from university. If you're going to interview for a job, And that's great that you have your degree, you have, you know, your qualifications on paper, and you have that experience over the last 4 years. But if 10 other individuals from your class are going to apply for the same job, that degree on paper is not what's going to get you through the door.
That's right.
It's going to support you, but now you need to come with those other skills. What are the other things that you do well or do differently? Or through your experience, you've added this additional knowledge and expertise. It could even be in the form of doing some supporting courses online. It's about you understanding what your value is and then adding all the things that you could to increase the value, so that you end up creating almost like a niche area of expertise. Because you want to end up being the person that does it the best, or you do it so differently that there are not many people like you. So then the decision becomes very clear for that person that's actually considering using you and your services.
So let me ask you, Naomi, so how would you summarize how important is personal brand and how you position yourself, just like you're saying? How important is it to get a new job, especially in the crisis?
Your personal brand is everything. Yeah. It's you. So it's not you trying to become this new person, right? You can always do things to enhance your brand. But at the end of the day, at your core, your personal brand is you being your most authentic self. But you have to understand who you are as that individual so that you're actually communicating it in the right way to the right people. And as I said, I go back to the online brand and that online profile because it has become so important, because people are searching for you right now. And based on what they see, they will determine whether or not they want to either use your services or hire you.
As Naomi told you guys, that she's actually moving out of her office today because she's decided to cut expenses going back to our emergency plan and change office space in order to have her business continue. Similarly, in our own lives or emergency plan, if we find ourselves with lower income than we expected or with no income, some of us are in a zero income scenario, how are we going to make those shifts that are required so that we can make it through this period and have a better outcome than we intended? So what Naomi was talking about, networking online, positioning yourself on LinkedIn. What I do on LinkedIn after my profile is as good as I can get it. I add media, I add any press that I've gotten, I highlighted it in the features section on LinkedIn. After I do that, then I go to the companies that I'm interested in working at, search for people who are at those companies and start messaging and networking with them online, not asking anything, not asking for any favors up front, but first just saying, can you give me some information? What is it like on the inside? I'd love to have a chat with you. I'd love to add you to my network.
It's all about connection, Lisandro.
Developing that relationship online on LinkedIn, and that relationship is the key to helping myself to get a new job in a crisis. Because the first place that recruiters look for candidates that they're going to employ are from the network, the people that work at the company, their own personal network, and the people that reach out to them on LinkedIn. I'm going to hand back over to you, Naomi, but first I'll just say I hired someone at the Branson Center, my last hire before I left, because she reached out to me on LinkedIn 6 months before and said she was moving to Jamaica from London and she loves the work of the Branson Center and she'd love to work there. So when I had an opening, I looked at her resume first. Naomi, back to you.
Sure. And just to go back to some of those great tips that Lisandro is suggesting to start that LinkedIn profile, right? You have to start with your professional headshot. Now, we always say all the time, we don't judge a book by its cover, but we're human beings. We do judge based on what we see. And so a lot of times people even will add me or want to connect with me on LinkedIn and they don't even have a picture. So I have no idea who I'm actually connecting with. So you want to ensure that you have a great professional headshot, not a selfie. Nobody else should be in the picture with you. It just seems to be a clean, and they usually say a bust shot. So that's from the bust up. A nice clean photo with a clean background so it's not too distracting. But also I think a smile goes a long way as well. So look pleasant, or I would say dress the way that you want to be addressed. If you can't afford to get a professional headshot done, that's fine. Everyone should have a smartphone. You just need to dress the way you want to be presented to the world, get someone to take that photo with you on a clean background and upload it to your LinkedIn. So that's the first thing, because that's what people see first. And then your headline statement. That's what goes immediately beneath your profile picture. And what people do is they put their job title. Wrong. You need to think, what is the problem that I solve? That needs to be the headline statement. A very short sentence that describes what you do and who do you do it for. So for my LinkedIn, it would say something like, I help professionals, individuals, and executives to build a better personal and professional brand, or to stand out in a noisy world. But it's always something along the lines of what I actually do. And then I'll put things like founder of Garrett Communications, or the PR chief, or author, international speaker, whatever. And I change my profile from time to time, depending on what my focus is at that particular time. So if I'm trying to get more speaking opportunities, then I'm going to move that part that says international speaker in my headline statement, maybe to the front. And then I'll have my little personal brand statement right after. And so you can always tweak it as you go along and as you're deciding how do you want to connect on the platform. Then you get into that profile summary. And that's not where you start, as Lysandra said, you don't start listing all your credibility. You need to put what your value is. What are you bringing to the table? So Lysandra gave great examples when she was talking about the cover letter. Think of your profile as your cover letter. This is what people are going to see first to decide if they even want to scroll down all the way to your page to see your education and to see your experience. Some people don't even get to that part. You have to capture them in that profile summary. And you can actually put links in the summary without even getting to the part where you add media. To add media, add all the things that help to build your social proof. But you can actually put links, direct links in the profile. So I will put a link to my workbooks. So if you're interested in building your personal brand and you want to buy my workbook, here's the link right here. If you want to book me as an international speaker, here's the link right here. So all the different things that I do, I include it in my profile. Because I'm not waiting for you to scroll through the entire LinkedIn page to get to all the juicy details about me that could help you to either convert you into a client or for you to want more information to connect with me. So you utilize that.
So Naomi, I'm going to jump in here because we have quite a few questions that have come in for you and me, and we have to get through some of them. We have 15 minutes left. Right. The time just runs off so fast because we have so much value to share. So Shawnee, what are some of the questions that we're getting?
Okay. So the first one is going back to when you were talking about Google, Naomi. Sure. Joshua's asking, what about if an article already shows up on Google and it's outside of their control? How can they manage that?
Okay, great. So the best way to start, so there are sometimes instances where there is content that you cannot remove, right? Especially if you are not the originator of the content. So you need to become the originator of content. You need to start creating your own content, building your own website. I created my own website using Wix.com, and this is not my area of expertise, but I wanted to ensure that by doing that, that's what comes up first when someone searches for me. And so the more content that you're producing, right, online, and tagging yourself in that content, whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's on a LinkedIn post or an article or a blog, when you are creating more content, it starts to come to the top of the list when people start doing search results for you. So that's where you start using things like SEO optimization, that search engine optimization, so that you're putting in keywords related to you and your brand. So anytime I post something or share something, I ensure that I use things like my actual name. I tag it with Naomi Garrett, the PR chief, personal branding, online branding, personal branding coaching, all the things related to me so that my stuff starts to get to the top of the pile. But then there are situations like, for example, I've had clients that their image and job title from their previous job is still on that old company's website. You need to send a letter to that company letting them know, hey guys, I just noticed that I'm still coming up in search results for your company. Can you have your tech team remove my information from their page? So you have to first do the Google search. I definitely recommend that all of you do a search for yourself online. And then look and see what is the content that's there that you're not okay with. See if there's a way that you can actually reach out to the originator of the content to have them remove it, or start thinking of how you can be creating your own content so that it comes up to the top. And I'll tell you, LinkedIn always comes up in the top 5 search results. So if you're signed into LinkedIn, whether you're active on it or not, it's going to come up in that search result. So you want to ensure that your profile is updated and relevant to who you are today in this moment.
Mm-hmm. Great response, Naomi. 100% agree with what you said. We have more questions, Shawnee?
Yes, we have tons more. Okay, so Katrina is asking, how best is it to explain a 3-month work absence on LinkedIn? So it was because of health issues, but she's asking how can she kind of explain that? And I think I would just add to that LinkedIn and resume. So if you have a gap in your resume or LinkedIn, how do you express that?
So I wouldn't express that unless I was asked about it.
Yeah. You talk about that in the interview.
My LinkedIn, I wouldn't be putting it on the resume. And if that's a big concern, the person that's interviewing you will ask. And then you can explain to them what the situation was, the reason for that gap. But definitely don't put the reason for the absence in the resume or the LinkedIn. You're now actually prompting them to ask about it by doing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I would even add, I know in your particular situation, it was for health reasons, but if you have a gap on your resume, that's not for health reasons, that's due to other reasons, I would actually fill it with things that you've done in that spare time. So like right now during the pandemic, a lot of us have a gap, right? So I would be taking courses, I would online or otherwise, or perhaps creating your personal brand and doing some freelancing, and any activity that you're doing during that gap, you can use it as filler on a resume or on LinkedIn.
I love that, Lissandra. That's a great idea. Yeah, so because people want to know that you're not just sitting around not doing anything.
Right.
So be busy, be essential.
Shawnee, more questions?
Yep. All right. So Shanique is asking, so what about people who are struggling to find their purpose and passion, as this essentially would affect their personal brand? So do you have any advice for kind of diving down and narrowing down your purpose and passion?
That's why you're here with the Soul Career Guru, right? Because that's what Lissandra is all about, helping you to really identify what your passions are. But I can tell you from a personal branding standpoint, I go back to what I said, you have to take that time to do some introspection with yourself and really trying to figure out what is important to you. What are some of your core values? What are you passionate about? And I would start by doing a journey map, which is something that I do with my personal branding clients, where I actually tell them to sit down and map out their journey to this point, looking at all the things, the good things, the bad things, the things that they enjoyed the most, the experiences that they've had. Because sometimes when you take the time to reflect on your journey, you realize that, oh, I actually love doing this thing. Why am I not doing more of it? Or I actually hated this experience. Let's not do more of that. But you have to take the time to reflect on it and go through the steps, because everything that we do in our life helps us to become the individual that we are today. But we have to take the time to actually go through the journey and then try to figure out, okay, what did I learn and who do I want to become tomorrow?
And I would add to that, the very first step that we do in Soul Career is a personality test, psychometric assessment. And I know 45 of you booked calls with me while you were signing up for this course. And I require you in the booking for the call, to submit your Myers-Briggs results. That's a very easy test you can take to start understanding your underlying motivations, your underlying interests, and seeing if that journey map of experiences that you've done in your career actually matches what you're really interested in, who you really are underneath all of that. Yesterday, I did a call with someone whose personality was over here and her career was over there, right? She was quant. And her personality test said she was a feeler and a people person and needed novelty and experience. And in fact, her experience was technical, spreadsheets, statistical research. So she was very unhappy in the career path that she had chosen. So we often have a thought lot in our mind about who we are and what we'd enjoy and what we like. But actually, who we really are is very different from who we think we are, because who we think we are is conditioned by parents, society, the country that we grew up in that told us, well, being a journalist, you can't make the money, so go and be a mathematician, right? And we have to find ways to honor that true side of ourselves. So I see a question asked, what did I just mention? So 16personalities.com is a very easy test to do, very easy results to read, Myers-Briggs, and it will give you a first step in understanding that underlying personality. Okay, so
the same personality type.
Yes, Naomi and I are both ENFPs, so we are vivacious, charismatic, people persons that communicate and talk a lot. So Shawnee, before we get to more questions, I do realize that we are running out of time, and actually if you guys are able to stay on a little bit past 12 o'clock, we'll get to the other questions that we didn't answer. But first, before we do that, I just wanted to make sure for those who can't stay that we share a little bit about Soul Career. That was a great segue, that question, into what we do at Soul Career in the course. So Soul Career is a 6-week online program that helps you find a career that fulfills you, right? So this is for career transitioners, people who are moving out of one career into another path. So over those 6 weeks, we take you on a journey that first covers your soul, the first 2 weeks, and then we talk about the tools that you need to find a new job, which is what we focused on in this session today. We go in a lot more detail. We give you scripts to use. We give you templates that you can use. And then the final 2 weeks are about taking action. But those first 2 weeks about your soul, what's your purpose? Who are you underneath your conditioning? What do you really want out of life? What is your real definition of success? How can we create a plan for you that you feel the energy that you want to feel in the career that you want to choose next? So I want to feel abundant, joyful, vivacious, free. I want to feel location independent. So we go into all of those things in the first 2 weeks. Second week, we actually talk about energy and mindset, and we go much deeper into some of these mindset techniques that we discussed at the very beginning of this session. Then in the second 2 weeks, weeks 3 and 4, we do the Dream 25, we do LinkedIn, we do the personal mission statement, and we have your Ivy League job readiness toolkit, and we give you templates for STAR method in interviews, for how to write your resume, for how to write a killer cover letter and a killer personal mission statement that you use on your LinkedIn. And then finally, in the last 2 weeks, you take action. You take everything that you've done from the previous 4 weeks, and you start applying to things. You take your resume, your cover letter, your Dream 25, your Soul Career Attraction Plan, and you start applying for those careers that fit your personality and fit your underlying soul. And then in week 6, we teach you how to negotiate between multiple offers, how to get what you want, and how to prepare for success in the first 90 days in your new job. And from Monday to Wednesday, during those 6 weeks, you get new content that you view at your own pace on our platform, about an hour a day of content. And then on Thursdays, there's live group coaching with me and Warren, and the group that helps us talk through some of the challenges we're having as a team and help us feel that we have support and someone to hold us accountable as we move forward on our career journey. And then we give you an 84-page workbook. We mail a physical copy to you so that you can write your reflections down as you go through the program. And we are on WhatsApp, available to our clients all the time.